Welcome to Waterfowl Heaven. If there's any place in the world that might qualify to be called that, it's probably this place, right here in North Carolina. At this extraordinary spot in Scotland Neck, Mike and Allie Lubbock, their son Brent, and their staff have created, if not a waterfowl heaven, then something that comes mighty close.
This facility is set up for the public to be able to learn more about the waterfowl found throughout the world and other birds too. We have about 1,000 birds, 170 species, mainly waterfowl, which is ducks, geese, and swans. We are the largest collection of waterfowl for view to the public. There might be other collections around the world, but there's nothing this size or magnitude that the public can view.
It's a dream come true for the husband and wife team who came here from England some 20 years ago and declared this area perfect.
The temperature was right, the winters were not harsh, and everything about it. It's a farming community, and basically I was farming waterfowl at the time.
We worked with the United States when we were based in England a lot, with particularly SeaWorld and a lot of the other zoos, Bronx Zoo and such.
And they were really that introduced me to the North Carolina Zoo, and then the Zoo Society of North Carolina Zoo partnership with us, really. And if it hadn't been for them, we couldn't put this together. They obviously wanted my birds because I was bringing birds in from Europe, which they didn't have over here.
But it's been really wonderful to have a reverse situation here. We're helping supply them with most of the waterfowl in all of the zoos in the United States.
It's an 07 bird, and it was reared at Sylvan Heights Waterfowl.
Mike and his wife Allie both arrived here with considerable aviculture experience, most notably deep expertise in the breeding of endangered waterfowl.
Our breeding center is very different from what the public see over here, which we actually don't take the public. We take members and we have to escort them. It's designed for breeding birds and not for walking around. You know, the other name for them is zebra duck because of the stripes on them.
Here's one fascinating example of their work, a baby Eurasian eagle owl which has fallen from its nest. This little fellow isn't as tiny as he looks. And it isn't quite as simple as you might think, restoring him to his mama.
Everybody stay still, please.
All's well that ends well. Breeding birds is all about new beginnings, which starts, of course, with an egg. And what's fascinating is that the first step in the incubation of a rare waterfowl egg is to stick it under a local garden variety chicken for a while.
We actually find that birds are better at starting the eggs off or sitting on the eggs and using incubators from day one. They come out for 25 minutes, they feed, go to the toilet, have something to drink, and we check the duck eggs. And what I do is I shine a light through. What I'm looking for is fertility. Any bad eggs have to come out. So otherwise it'll make all the other eggs go bad. This one actually started, but it went off. It didn't get any further. So I'll have to take that one out. So now they had their break, it's time for them to go back to work. So the eggs will stay under here for about 18 days before they move into the incubator room.
In the very early days when I first got into waterfowl, birds were caught out of the wild and brought back into captivity. Well, those birds had that migratory instinct, so that when the breeding season came, they wanted to go back up north. They were never very settled. Okay? Well, I pioneered collecting waterfowl eggs. You go out to the wild and you collect 2 eggs from a clutch, so you're not actually hurting the birds because the clutch is 10 eggs. You bring the eggs back into a captive situation and you rear them, and then they don't know any different, really. And this helped us tremendously for breeding these birds in the future. Because we keep quite a few birds together, not all of them are allowed to rear their own young. But some of the swans and some of the geese are allowed to rear their youngsters because they're very good parents.
This is what a black swan looks like when it gets a little older. She and the intern are in training.
Mostly I take her swimming. I spend at least 4 hours a day with her. That way she'll get used to people, not only me. You're getting too big, aren't you?
Without the help of this intern and young volunteers, Sylvan Heights Waterfowl Park and Eco Center wouldn't be nearly as successful.
Just volunteers from other countries that just want to come and learn about the waterfowl. We're unbelievably dependent on them.
But it's also about the future, especially endangered species and vanishing habitat.
This is the white-winged wood duck. It's probably one of the rarest ducks in the world. There are only about 200 left in the wild, and they come from Sumatra, Vietnam they used to be in. Habitat has been their problem, and obviously in Vietnam with all the Agent Orange during the Vietnam War. But we've been breeding them now for several years, and what I do with these birds is loan them out to zoos and private collections so that we can bring those birds back here, give them the time, when we find a place we can put them back. That's what we're going to do.
You might say that this place is for the birds. All shapes, sizes, colors, and degrees of cuteness. From cartoon ducks to show-off peacocks, flamingos straight from a postcard, and just about everything in between. And doesn't it seem that that's the way it should be for a place that could easily be called Waterfowl Heaven?